Florida, we're about to get hit. We just got hit last week, Helene. 2 million people in surrounding areas, I think, don't have any power. Let me give you some stats here that I have. 2 million don't have a power. 150,000 people have applied for FEMA assistance, if I'm not mistaken. 250,000 people still don't have any power. 2 million went out, but 250,000 people haven't had it for about a week. 400-mile radius was the hurricane. The closest one we had to this one was Katrina. That was also 400-mile in radius. You look at the pictures, it just doesn't look right with what happened. And the criticism that's coming with FEMA while we're going through this is that they're not doing anything about it. By the way, only 2% of the houses that were impacted by the Hurricane Halen have homeowners insurance. I'm sorry, not homeowners, have flood insurance. Only 2%. You know what that means? You have a $300,000 house, gone. And you don't have the money. It's wiped out. And FEMA's giving them what? $750. You know, I thought it was $750 per person in the house. It's $750 per household. Jeez. If you live in a house with 6 people, it's just $750. Okay, while this is taking place. However, as if that wasn't bad enough already, now you got Hurricane Milton on its way. And I know you've done a couple skits that's funny and all this other stuff. There's nothing funny about this. This is now Cat 5, and it's out of point. By the way, these are people leaving Tampa. They're literally leaving Tampa. This is a good picture. I saw pictures with traffic that was, it was horrible. And Rob, if you can pull up the mayor of Tampa, what she just said in an interview yesterday with CNN, if you can pull that up. She's been interviewed, and she's being asked, hey, how bad is it? Look what she says. She doesn't flinch. Listen to this.
It's halfway through this.
This is right literally catastrophic. And I can say without any dramatization whatsoever, if you choose to stay in one of those evacuation areas, you're going to die.
Wow.
Jeez. Wow. That is an incredibly blunt message. And I know you have a lot of experience dealing with these storms. You don't say something like that lightly, Mayor.
She tries to make it political.
I've never said that. And 10 to 12 foot surge. If this takes a jog to the south, that's going to save us from the storm surge. But it stays on the track that it's projected to be on right now, or if it goes a bit north, would be even worse. Some of the predictions are saying that Pinellas County, to the south of us, the entire county is going to be underwater. So this is something that I have never seen in my life.
And I can tell you that. So she asked her question, says, so what do you think about all this stuff with political, that they're not doing this and Kamala's not doing this? You know what the lady says? I actually like what she said. She says, no, that is not true. I'm in communication with the president, and our governor DeSantis has been very active on this, been helping us out. Rob, play the exchange with Kamala, what she says about DeSantis, and how DeSantis responds, because I think there's a feud going on here between the two of them. Go ahead, Rob.
Governor DeSantis, NBC is reporting Governor DeSantis is ignoring your calls on hurricanes, resources, and help. How does that hurt the situation here?
Moments of crisis, if nothing else, should really be the moment that anyone who calls themselves a leader says they're going to put politics aside and put the people first. People are in desperate need of support right now, and playing political games with this moment in these crisis situations, these are the height of emergency situations, is just utterly irresponsible, and it is selfish, and it is about political gamesmanship.
Okay. So she's saying it's selfish. It's about political gamesmanship. Do you have one from Ron DeSantis, Rob? Go ahead and play this clip.
And we've been laser focused on leveraging all resources available, including from the federal government. And I've been in touch with both FEMA and the president, as well as marshaling all our state agencies and working to support our local communities. And so for Kamala Harris to try to say that my sole focus on the people of Florida is somehow selfish is delusional. She has no role in this. In fact, she's been vice president for 3.5 years. I've dealt with a number of storms under this administration. She has never contributed anything to any of these efforts. And so what I think is selfish is her trying to blunder into this. No. And here's the thing. She has no role. No, she has no role in this process. I'm in contact with the President of the United States. I'm in contact with FEMA director. I'm obviously managing all our state agencies. We're supporting all our local government. And I will say this, I've had storms under both President Trump and President Biden, and I've worked well with both of them. She's the first one who's trying to politicize the storm, and she's doing that just because of her campaign. She's trying to get some type of an edge. She knows she's doing poorly, and so she's playing these political games. I don't have time for political games. Right. I've got people whose lives are on the line. I've got people whose homes and their possessions are on the line, and we are focused 100% on that mission. I'm not worried about playing her political games.
You can
and
pause
so
it right there.
She is
By
being.
the way, he's the reason why we live in Florida right now.
Yep.
Why at least I'm in Florida right now. He's the reason. Because this guy gets stuff done, period. Yep. If there's one thing about him, he may not be charismatic or charming or good on interviews or marketing or even doesn't like people. Like, he doesn't like doing interviews. He just wants to be, he's a homebody with his wife and kids.
He's not presidential.
He's not.
Yeah.
He's not. But I tell you, he's one hell of a governor. I mean, he could have a future, things could change and adjust, but he's one hell of a governor. Living in the state of Florida, knowing he's in charge and stuff like this happen, you don't have a lot to worry about. No one's going to move more quicker, more swift to get things done than this guy.
Yeah, he doesn't need
good.
Kamala. This guy's been governor for, 6+ years now, maybe even longer. He doesn't need Kamala here. Here's what's interesting about this, getting back to the point of Tampa. Tampa has not been hit by a storm like this in over 100 years. The weirdest thing, I'm born and raised in Florida. I've dealt with Hurricane Andrew, hurricanes left and right. These two hurricanes that just came through, what was the one that just came through?
Helene.
And now Milton. This is a Category 5.
Almost 6. They're saying 6 too.
Insane. But here's the most interesting thing. Every hurricane I've ever seen, fact check me, comes from Africa, comes west, comes through the Bahamas, comes through Jamaica, destroys the Caribbean, maybe hits Miami, maybe hits Fort Lauderdale, goes through the Gulf of Mexico, maybe goes up to Panhandle. This started in the Gulf of Mexico?
Weird.
I don't know what's going on here. I've never seen anything like this. And the fact that Tampa is a sitting duck, they've not been hit by a hurricane, I guess, in 100 years. It's a very unusual path, and I'm really praying for the people of Tampa.
I listen, and our hearts, our prayers, our everything goes out to these people. I mean, we're gonna feel it here as well. But you know what pisses me off the most is the fact that during all this, on the 4th, and I'm gonna get into it, Tony Blinken announced, our government, Joe Biden, $157 million to Lebanon. This was on the 4th. Meanwhile, parents were tying their children to trees because the water was rushing down so much. The parents were getting drifted off, Pat, and dying, and they were trying to save their children. All that is happening, and she goes up there and says, we're going to give $750 to a family, as if that's going to do anything. So when we tell people that this administration, this government, doesn't care if you live or die, it's not just lip service, okay? And when we say America first, that's what America first has to be, okay? So far this year, Pat, and Rob, I sent you the graph. This is how much we don't have money to help Americans in North Carolina, in Florida, and all these places. So far this year, we've given $24.4 billion to Ukraine, $11.3 billion to Israel, $1.9 billion to Ethiopia, $1.6 billion to Jordan, $1.4 billion to Egypt, and it keeps going. And $9,000 per illegal immigrant that has entered the United States. Okay, and we give them housing, we give them everything, and people that are dying and drowning in the United States, Tom, get $750, and then Alejandro
Not
Mayorkas
each, per household.
Alejandro Mayorkas, who I despise, earlier this year said, Pat, we're good. We're ready for hurricane season. Now he's saying we don't have the money. We don't have the money to help Americans. Now we're about to get hit again, and we are shit out of luck. I'm sorry for my language. And this is what bothers me, Pat. This is all of our tax money. All of our tax money, and then when we need it, where is it? So the analogy is this, Pat. You live in a house, you're putting your money in a piggy bank. You're filling it up for emergencies or whatever. You leave, Pat. Your parents are taking the money and giving it all to the neighbors. Neighbors. Then something, God forbid, happens to you, your car accident, you don't have insurance, and you're like, hey, mom and dad, I need the money. And they go, we gave it to all the neighbors. That's exactly what the hell they're doing with our money. So again, and I hate to bring it back to the voting, if you vote for these people, this is what's going to happen. We should be America first, not every other country. And now we're seeing it firsthand, Tom. Disaster is hitting, and they don't have money to help us.
I think it's the greatest crisis that any leader can have is when his people lose confidence in him. That's the greatest crisis a leader can have. when you're sitting there and the people around you don't have confidence in you because you've screwed up the vision, you've screwed up the execution, you hired poor performers, and suddenly now all the people around you lose confidence in you. And that is exactly what's happening right now. And I hope the American voters are paying attention to what's happening here. That first and foremost, America is a nation of charity. Americans have big hearts when it comes to this. And I pray that they are looking around and finding the reputable agencies that you can put in, because there's a lot of shysters that put a lot of BS out now, try to trick you into donations. Find the reputable organizations that you can help. You live in Oregon, you see this is happening, find the reputable organization, American Red Cross, whatever it is, that you could reach out to help with. Because Americans have a big heart, but I think Americans are smarter. You said, I think that the political campaigns sometimes think that the voters are dumb enough to believe it. But I think they can believe with their eyes. Believe with your eyes what you're seeing. Local government and Ron DeSantis are doing a good job. You've got people on the ground that are trying to do a good job in North Carolina that were being impeded, and people were coming from the outside. Elon Musk bringing Starlink. Americans are not dumb.
So
and if you like the leadership you see on this, vote for 4 more years of it.
I got a couple things I want to ask you guys that we were researching yesterday. I got a few questions for you. So FEMA is under DHS, right?
Yes.
Department of Homeland Security.
Alejandro Mayorkas.
Department of Homeland Security has roughly a $100 billion budget. Of the $100 billion budget that they have, last year's budget, 2023, towards FEMA was $29 billion. In 2022 was $27 billion. This year it's $20 billion. They kept $8 billion for previous damages and stuff that happened. No problem. As I'm going through this process of what's going on with Florida, I asked a few basic questions. And this is what we did. We sat yesterday and we just wrote some of these things down on how to judge and measure the effectiveness of a government agency. How are we supposed to measure? What questions should we ask with our taxpayer money? Number one, response time. How quickly have they responded? You know what Mayorkas said? He says, we knew about Halen a week before it happened. You had a week to prepare for it. Number two, allocation of funds. Where is the money going to? Okay. There's claims about the fact that $1 billion of the FEMA money went to immigrants. I'm going to read that to you because they're saying that was not the case. I'll actually read it to you from their website.
I love it. Thank
Number
you.
3, transparency. Where is the money? Where's the level of accountability? Number 4, proactiveness. How proactive are you guys being with this? You have 20,000 agents, right? Number 5, preparedness. You know this is Florida. You know this is hurricane season. Are you ready for it? 6, what kind of training do you offer to your personnel? Are they trained? Do they know what they're doing? Do they know how to go out and get things done? 7, supply drop. Back in the days, we used to be able to supply drop.
Yep.
Hey, humanitarian, let's go drop some food. Are we doing that?
Nope.
Apparently that's not happening. 8, what is FEMA's track record? Do you, the viewer watching this, do you trust their track record? Maybe this is their first screw up. Maybe they did a good job with Andrew in 92. Maybe they did a good job with Katrina in 05. Maybe they did a good job with Puerto Rico in 17 or California wildfire in 18 or, the pandemic in 2020. By the way, FEMA was started under President Carter, I think in 1979 is when he started it. That was his purpose. Next question. You got number 9. How's their customer service?
Cool.
Customer experience, communication. How are they dealing with us when we're asking questions? Are they getting back to people on time? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. And last but not least, if the government's not doing a good job with it, then should we not allow the free market to respond to this? By the way, can you play the clip I just sent you, Rob? Here's Mayorkas saying 3 months ago, the keywords, we are fully prepared. You have to read exactly what he says. Play the clip. He says, we are fully ready for hurricane season to come. Play the clip.
FEMA is tremendously prepared. This is what we do.
This was 90 days ago.
This is what they do. And the key here, Rebecca, is also to make sure that the communities who are potentially impacted are prepared as well. And it's not just hurricanes and wildfires, also extreme heat, which certainly some parts of the United States are already experiencing.
Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas sounding the alarm on FEMA funding right after the devastation of Hurricane Halen. Listen.
We are meeting the immediate needs with the money that we have. We are expecting another hurricane hitting. We do not have the funds. FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season.
This all comes as the Biden-Harris administration.
You can let it play. Keep playing it.
spent over $1 billion from a FEMA program on services for migrants.
So check this out. They post this, right? And this scares the crap out of them to the point where if we go to FEMA's website, FEMA is so worried about what's going on right now with the amount of hate that again. Just go to the homepage. And then if you go look at that, go to the next page. You know how it swipes right? Just go to the next one. Those 3 buttons on the bottom, go to the next one, and then go to the next one and watch what the next one is. Okay? Rumor response. Click on that. Go to it. What do you mean rumor response? So they're trying to say we never gave that money to illegal, to migrants. By the way, I have the notes here to read it to you on what they spend the money on. I have from their website. I have to find it, but I have it here. You know what it says verbatim on their website? That this money, Brandon, if you guys can send it to me, I know I have it somewhere here. There it is. I found it. Ready? So they have this program called the SSP. FEMA has a program called the SSP. Rob, just go online and type in SSP FEMA. SSP FEMA stands for Shelter and Services Program. This is for FEMA. I'm going to read it to you from their site. They give grants to local governments and nonprofits to take care of undocumented immigrants. Congress boosted the budget from $360 million last year to $650 million this year. Watch this. In the 2023 annual report says it provides shelter, such as hotel, motel, services, food, and transportation, including including plane tickets up to $700 a person. This is undocumented. By the way, when you go back to the last one you went on the FEMA side, Rob, there's a conversation about the fact that they have $73 billion of unaccounted money. I don't understand what that was all about, Rob. I want to read this to you. This is from their website, folks. This is not a blog. As of October 2022, FEMA estimates that 847 disasters declarations with approximately $73 billion in what?
Unliquidated funds remains
open. For this audit, we focused on 79 open disaster declarations from the list that were declared in 2012 or earlier out of the 79, and had 89 authorized grant programs open as of October 2022, totaled $8.3 billion of unliquidated funds. During the audit, FEMA completed the closure of 13 declarations of 16 grant programs associated with the open declarations in our spoke, returning an estimated $5.7 billion. What does this tell you? They have the money.
Of course.
If they wanted to do something with it. Tom, why don't you think they do? Why do you think there lacks the urgency?
I have got no idea why this game went over the weekend. There is, in a straight line basis, you usually have presidents and people running to the microphone and saying, I've declared it a disaster area. And then the president runs to the microphone because he wants points. I am giving Governor Vinny $1 billion in relief funds. I have also heard the cries of it's a disaster area. So normally it's very political, right? Governor wants credit, the mayor wants credit, president wants credit, and then you would hope that the governor and the mayor are very, very concerned about the people. Now you've got FEMA here ending up running a PR campaign on their own website because they're caught with their pants down.
That's right.
They're actually caught with their pants down. It's like, hey, wait a minute. What about all the time you said you wanted $70 million for this and you only used 64? Where's the money? And the time you had $85 million for this disaster and you only used 50. Where's the 35? And now they're coming up and doing this math and saying, oh, with all the stuff that was here, we returned estimated $5.7 million to the disaster relief fund. They spent that much money on food, for their own parties while I was talking here. This really is irritating that you've got this bureaucrat named Mayorkas who is standing there having like this public debate and argument and talking about we don't have the funds when they do have the funds. The truth is they did spend it on, and by the way, did you notice the new name they have for it? Remember, in government, make everything taste better by giving it a different name, such as non-citizen migrants. Did you catch that? They called them non-citizen migrants. Remember, it's not illegal aliens. Yeah. It was undocumented immigrants. Yeah. Now it's non-citizen migrants, doing everything you can to make it. They spent the money on those. They sent it to sanctuary cities. They did that, and now they're out. Yet, what most people don't understand, I believe he was talking to Congress when he was saying that. You know, Pat, when sometimes you give a speech, they say, who's he really talking to?
Yeah.
He's talking to Congress. He's talking to Congress. You got to give me money, dudes. You got to give me money. They passed these Inflation Reduction Act that has a hidden briefcase full of cash that's going to Ukraine. We've done the autopsy on that stuff. And so now you got Mayorkas is basically, I think, in the middle of a political hurricane, no pun intended, absolutely intended, while he's talking to Congress that he needs more money and making this very political. I don't think I'm on the page of like vote suppression. These are mostly red votes. These are there because that gets pretty hairy, and that could cause an incredible responsive turnout in the other direction.
But this comes down to one thing, and it's something that is probably the most important thing and part of this election, and that's just money and the math of where the money goes and budgeting. You know, we see every year they kick the can down the road. Oh, we'll deal with this, put more on the credit card, put more on the credit card. What's the current U.S. federal debt? $34 trillion. By the time it's 2028, whoever the next president, expected to be almost $50 trillion. Like, how big of a hole are we trying to dig here? Now, what's interesting about how the sort of the budgeting works and the appropriations bill you put in there is that there's discretionary spending and the non-discretionary spending. So what's the non-discretionary spending? I learned this when I started doing money content in 2015. Non-discretionary spending are things that basically Congress has no control of. They don't do it each year. It's not a part of the budget. It's mandated by law. That's Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, but discretionary spending, education, transportation, the environment, law enforcement, everything like that. Non-discretionary spending, you know what the budget is for that? Almost $4 trillion a year, $3.9 trillion. Discretionary spending, where Congress basically gets a vote every single year and they must approve it, $1.7 trillion. Now, to Vinny's point about how much should we give to foreign aid, how much should we give to domestic, here's something to consider. Do you know what percentage of discretionary spending goes to domestic versus foreign? This is actually important. What percentage of the 1.7 trillion stays in the country versus leaves the country?
How much leaves?
5%. So 95% stays in the country. When I talk about the discretionary spending, transportation, environment, law enforcement, everything that's going like that, 1.6 trillion of the 1.7 trillion stays in the country. Now, if you ask the everyday American, they will agree with you. They'll be like, no, we need to keep all the money, the majority of the money in the country, help our people. Who wants to hear that FEMA's broke? Ridiculous, especially during hurricane season. Like, what are you thinking? But also understanding that only 5%.
Where are you going, bro?
I'm just saying that it's not as ridiculous as it seems. Like, if you do the math on it, only 5% of the $1.7 trillion of the discretionary spending.
I don't understand what you just said. So what does that have to do with them not having money that's been unaccounted for and unliquidated to spend on something like that?
That obviously they're not doing their budgeting correctly. But this has nothing to do with the foreign spending because...
my thing is
hear me out. Okay. Hear me out. This has to do with what they're choosing to spend money on non-discretionary spending. Now, if you ask me, I assume if we look under the hood here, I assume they spent a lot of money on some DEI bogus nonsense.
I still don't know where you're going.
Okay.
Here's what I'm trying.
What are you struggling with?
No, what I'm struggling with is I'm trying to help you with your struggles. Are you saying?
I'm not struggling. I'm just giving you numbers.
Saying the fact that is your reason for saying that is the fact that money didn't go to Ukraine for the people that say make North Carolina Ukraine to get money. Is that what your argument was about?
That's not my argument. I'm saying only 5% of our total.
But what is your point? So we just went through all the history of stuff with FEMA. You decided to go there. I'm trying to get the climax.
Let me simplify it for our audience. We're under the impression from Vinny. I said to Vinny that all our money is going to Lebanon, to Ukraine, to everything. Well, it's only 5%. So the money that is staying in the country needs to be allocated better. Or maybe a budget needs to put less than 5% to foreign aid.
This is not the conversation at all. I don't
understand what you're talking about, Pat. We're talking about foreign spending versus domestic spending. Discretionary versus non-discretionary.
What part of everything I shared with had to do with foreign? It's like
Vinny's
we're talking about...
entire rant was about foreign aid. How much money is going...
He said Lebanon, 150 million.
Lebanon just got on the
but
fourth.
Also Ukraine.
Yeah, the biggest thing with the Lebanon case, that he made. $150 million is nothing.
Yeah.
But the whole point, this is the point about him saying $150 million. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. So let's just say, God forbid, someone you love just died.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And you need my help. And we're at a family gathering. An hour after somebody you love just died, I announce, hey guys, I'm giving Joey's best friend's cousins, sisters, best friends, brothers, high school teacher, $750,000 to help him out. That's the problem with what he's saying. The timing of after someone died, I'm giving a stranger $750,000. It's not the dollar amount. Let me give you guys an update here about election night. So election night, that's coming up November 5th. It's going to be the biggest party in the country, minus the one that Trump and Kamala host together. I have 4 guests that I'm announcing that are now going to be at the election night with us. We're going to have some of the old timers that are coming back. So those guys are going to come back no matter what. They'll be with us while we go live on the podcast from 7 p.m. to 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe even later. It's going to be one of those marathons. And by the way, it's so awesome seeing other people who are business podcasts are now saying, we're going to host a live event as well. No problem. We like to lead people. We're leaders amongst leaders, and it's exciting. But ours will be a kick-ass event that we put together here. Here's who's going to be here with us. You got Brian Callen will be here. You got Sammy Gravano will be here to give his take from a mob's perspective. You got Michael Francis that will be here. You got Dave Smith that will be here and many other names, but I'm going to drop it to you every podcast who else is going to come here. So don't be the person that's waiting till last minute when this thing sells out and then you're saying, but I couldn't get a ticket. By the way, the super VIPs will get a chance to meet all the speakers. Why? Because all the super VIPs will be going there to eat. So watch this video, Rob, put it on 1.25, and then we'll get into all the stories. Here's a new building and where the party will be held at. Go ahead.
I got a big announcement to make. Property I'm on right now. We've been working on buying this property for the last 3 years. It's one of its last kind in America. Why? It's on 11 acres. It's got 2 hangars. It's on an airport. Upgrades of $7 million made here. That's going to be the new headquarters of Valuetainment Media, David Consulting, the podcast, the whole 9. And what we wanted to do, we want to find a way to celebrate this as a new headquarters with inviting you to an event on November 5th, which is election night. A lot of different things people will be talking about, business owners. What's going to happen if it goes this way? What's going to happen if it goes that way? So imagine 2,000 people being here. Let me show you around. Some of you will have a private meeting with me. That's the elite. That's going to be a few of you. Some will get a private tour of the entire office from us. There's a hangar in the back. So you come up here. Imagine there's going to be a couple major tents, 40 feet by 100 feet, where some of the people that are buying general tickets will be there. But over here inside the hangar is where the podcast will be held. This entire thing will be open like it is right now. Inside of it, myself, the PBD podcast crew, some of the super VIPs will be invited to go upstairs in a section that we have that's got a bar, a restaurant, food, kitchen. You're eating, you're watching it from all the way up there while we're doing the podcast down here in the hangar. So imagine in this room, there's 1,000 people, right? While we're going through this whole thing. Conversation, it's going to be from 6 p.m. is when it starts. All the way up to 2 o'clock in the morning. Who knows? Maybe we'll go 3, 4 o'clock in the morning because a lot of things that's going to be going on. And by the way, do you know why we're not cutting this? We're on an airport. These are planes. We have to hear because right here is the airport. And FYI, messy place right there at that stadium right behind us. There's 5 tickets here that you can purchase. Each one's got more things to offer. But even locally, there's general tickets to buy for just $75. Bring your wife, bring your husband, bring your family, bring your friends. There's one caveat after you buy the ticket. When you buy the ticket and you come on November 5th, you have to wear Future Looks Bright gear. I'm talking Future Looks Bright hat, a shirt. Doesn't matter. You're going to have to show I got some kind of Future Looks Bright gear because we want everybody here to spread the message and the energy of optimism around the world, back to their states, wherever you're going to be. So November 5th, click on the link above or below, get registered. And if you're watching this saying, well, Pat, I like to travel private. Can I bring my private jet here? 5 of you guys will be after you buy your ticket. Then you can ask us, and that's only available to the tickets at the highest level possible to bring your jet and park it here. So having said that, get your tickets, and I cannot wait to see you November 5th, 6 p.m. at our new headquarters in Fort Lauderdale. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye.
I dare you to miss it. No, I'm telling you right now. I dare you. I'm telling you to your face. I dare you to miss it. For 4 years, you're going to say, I will never miss it again. Because the next one we do like this is 4 years from now, like the World Cup, which will be in 2028. I dare you to miss it. For those of you guys that are wise and smart enough to know what's going to happen and the crazy stuff that we're going to be covering, you'll be attending. And we can't wait to have you guys there. We cannot wait to spend the entire night with you, your friends, your family together, all night talking about what's going to happen in 2025 and on. So, Rob, put the link below for people to go get registered. If you're listening to this online, go to 5990live.com, go to events, purchase a ticket, and we'll see you there.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.